Welcome back to the Rewind That Tape YouTube channel. Today we are back with another video and we are going to be starting a new series about pretenders and contenders. So what do we mean about pretenders or contenders? Well, pretenders are the teams that we think are overhyped at the position they are currently in. So if a team's ranked 15th and we think they should be unranked, those guys are pretenders. Contenders are teams that we believe that actually have a shot to make a run at the national championship. So they are where they should be, or they're lower, they're underrated. Either one, they have a shot at the chip. That's all that matters. We've seen plenty of football so far in the first 3 weeks of the season to give y'all some predictions. So let's see who's going to make a run and who is just getting media hype. Today we are going to focus on the most popular team in college football, the Colorado Buffs. Are the Buffs contenders or are they pretenders? Let's rewind the tape to find out. Colorado has been making waves with their impressive performances this season, and it's time we explore whether they have a shot at the college football playoff. From key wins to standout players, Colorado seemed to have it all in front of them. Their first 3 wins were nothing short of spectacular, and to be honest, I was riding with the Buffs until their latest game against Colorado State. They just didn't look great for the majority of this game, and they arguably lost their best player in Travis Hunter. Although they have plenty of weapons to try to fill the gap and one of the best coaches in football in Coach Prime, they still have issues without Travis Hunter. Dillan Edwards at running back, Jimmy Horn Jr. at receiver, Xavier Weaver as another receiver, and Shaduer Sanders at quarterback gives plenty of firepower on offense. These are all guys that performed well this season, but they still have questions. Defensively, we don't know if this is an anywhere, any place type of team. If they get hot and figure out how to make some stops, we could see a crazy run from these guys. But ultimately, I think with their strength of schedule they have left, it's going to be super difficult to do so. So while they do have potential, and it is very possible for them to make this crazy run and finish this season as Pac-12 champions, I just see more reasons that it kind of falters. So why are they not going to be able to make this happen? Well, there are a few things that come to mind immediately when thinking of reasons that Colorado are not going to be able to run the table. But I'll start with the defense. I just haven't seen enough from these guys defensively to prove that they can stop elite offenses. They struggled against TCU, who I would say has a good offense, good, not great. And they also struggled against Colorado State, who I can't even evaluate their offense properly. The real question is whether there's going to be a learning curve as the season goes on for this defense. That all comes on top of Travis Hunter being hurt, and the next 2 weeks are going to be against top 10 opponents, which they will be without Hunter in both of those games. Losing a versatile player like Hunter, who plays cornerback and wide receiver, will definitely be a significant blow to a football team. There are 3 things that come to mind when I just think about that loss. Number one's got to be versatility. He can play both ways on the ball as a cornerback and a wide receiver, which makes him the most valuable asset on this team. Losing a player who makes that sort of impact can be challenging to replace. Now, they have receivers to do so, but what about on the defensive side of the ball, which already has issues? Then there's injury uncertainty. We don't know what is wrong with Travis Hunter. Coach Prime has done a great job of being able to cover this up. We don't know how long Travis Hunter is going to be out. While he looks fine in his streams and his various media pop-ups, Travis could be out for multiple more weeks. Thirdly, the third thing that comes to mind for me, while it doesn't have to do with the team, Travis Hunter Heisman hopes are pretty much dashed at this loss. He's going to be out a few games. It's certainly going to hurt a lot, and I was really rooting to see a non-quarterback win this award. As the season progresses, how well the Buffaloes manage without Travis Hunter and how quickly he can return to action will be key factors in determining their contributed success and playoff contention. So what's left in front of them? That's a big point for Colorado and why this is going to be a crashing ship. If Hunter's out for 3 weeks, that means they're going to be out without Hunter against number 10 Oregon, number 5 USC, and Arizona State. All of these games are Pac-12 conference games, which means they aren't going to be easy. Not to mention they play two top 10 teams with two elite quarterbacks. If they win all three, this should be a top 5 team. Caleb Williams and Bo Nix play for Oregon and USC respectively, and they are not going to be able to climb back in this game when they're playing against such high caliber quarterbacks. Hunter isn't even on the field, which is the other point. He's an elite cornerback that makes quarterbacks think. The only way I can see them winning those games is if they are somehow able to create enough offense to simply outscore them. I'm talking Big 12 gunslinging football in both of these games. Now, you might think that's the hardest part of the schedule, but that's just the next two games, and those two losses can be potentially knocking Colorado out of contention. So that's 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, this team could be completely forgotten about. If they are somehow to get through that with maybe one loss, or maybe undefeated, you never know. They still have to play UCLA, Oregon State, Washington State, and Utah, which are all ranked opponents. If they get through all of that, then yeah, they're in contention. But literally, the defense is going to have to step up into another level for that to happen. And that's putting a lot of pressure on a young offense to somehow outgun every one of these teams. Which brings us to my next point. Is Shaduer Sanders at that level? When watching Sanders, there's so much talent on the field, but is he ready to lead a playoff team? There's a gap between the good college quarterbacks and the great NFL quarterbacks, and it literally comes from making the playoffs. Most modern day NFL quarterbacks have been a product of the playoff. Take Justin Fields, who led Ohio State, Trevor Lawrence, and Deshaun Watson from Clemson. The Bama trio of Mac Jones, Tua, and Jalen Hurts, and the Oklahoma quarterbacks in Baker and Kyler, not to mention Joe Burrow, are all starters on the NFL team and all made the playoffs. It's been a measure for elite quarterbacks to make it, and I'm not sure if Sanders is quite there yet to be the guy that leads this team without a defense. You're talking about making explosive plays, which he definitely has the capability to do, but we saw a lot of errors in the Colorado State game that he needs to clean up. What's my overall thoughts on Sanders? This is a quarterback that is so raw right now. He has the ability to become great. I think he needs one more year to do so because ultimately there's a lot of things he has to fix when the pocket's collapsing. You don't see him throw the ball away often. He often tries to extend plays, and when you play these bigger defenses, that's going to be a lot of sacks. Other than that, I've liked the way Sanders plays. He's a very smart quarterback, and if he's able to develop, he's going to be one of the elite quarterbacks in college football. Lastly, media influence. Now, some people think it's a distraction, some people don't. Me personally, as long as it's not affecting the team's performance, I could care less about the media impact on this team. As long as it doesn't distract them, it doesn't change. But one loss against Oregon will change the entire narrative around this team. While Colorado's start is one of the greatest college football things I have ever seen, I don't think they are ready to move into the contenders category just yet. Therefore, this team is ultimately pretenders, and I have to stamp my approval, even though I am so impressed with what they have done so far. This seems like one of those teams that can become the upset team, the team that knocks off the contenders, knocks off their fellow Pac 12 foes who are trying to make the playoffs, but they're not ready to finish the job and run the table. I think Kansas State is a great comparison of what this Colorado team is because Kansas State always seems to play the villain, knocking TCU in the Big 12 championship last year, and they've knocked Oklahoma in the past as well. Dion has done an amazing job with this team, but getting through these next weeks without Hunter will ultimately determine the Buffalo season. Unfortunately for me, without Hunter, this team is just going to end up being pretenders, and I wouldn't expect to see them in the top 25 after 2 weeks. But hey, you never know. Colorado is one of those dangerous teams, and Shaduer Sanders could step into a new level that we haven't seen in these first 3 games to make this team even better. I'm rooting for them, but ultimately right now they are going to have to slide into Pretenders. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and make sure to check us out on our social medias, and we'll see you guys on the next one.